Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Norma Zager, a comedian, blogger, and granny on NBC's Baking It. Norma, welcome. So good to see you.
It's so good to be with you, Deborah. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
I am as well, obviously. And when we met, when I interviewed you before, we bonded over food. So the natural thing, because you are all about the food. So what is it about food?
Well, first of all, I'm Jewish, so it's in my DNA. That's a given. Second of all, I think food is like the great equalizer. It brings people together. Everybody can do it. You don't have to be Picasso, to make a great meal. It's a it's a creative outlet for people. I think, even if you can't paint, if you can't write, if you can't act, it doesn't matter because you can always be talented in the kitchen. So I really think food is an important part of our life, and more so in the last few years, of course.
Absolutely. So what you're saying is anyone can cook.
Everybody can cook, and everybody can be a good cook. I mean, sure, I think people who don't are not good cooks are people who just aren't great foodies. They don't love food. But if you love food, you're definitely going to be a great cook. I mean, you can't help yourself.
This is true. So you are like cooking, and so you put cooking with your comedy, you have cooking as part of your blog, and again, Granny on baking it. So how did you become you, I guess is the question.
Well, it took a whole lot of years to be me. It took my mother 9 months, but it took me like many, many years to become me. How did I become me? Well, I'm a big believer in thinking out of the box. I think some people put themselves in boxes and they stay there and they see themselves, they pigeonhole themselves. And I don't think you can really spread your wings and fly in life unless you're willing to fly out of the box and see where it leads you. So when I was doing comedy, I said, you know what? I was doing a bakery at the time. I had my own bakery because I was doing it to make extra money. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to combine my cooking and my comedy. And I was like only, I think still to this day, the only comedian who had their own cooking and comedy show in Las Vegas. So it's like I just combined the two, and it led to a lot of TV appearances on daytime shows and doing funny cooking segments. And everything just sort of came out of that, so you kind of have to be willing to take a chance. It might have worked out, it might not have, but for me, it's all come together and I've loved every minute of it.
So what is your earliest food memory?
Oh gosh. You know what you're going to laugh, but you know what it is? I remember it. I don't know how old I was, but I know I must have been awfully little. But I remember my aunt, my mother was a twin, and I remember her twin sister, my aunt, teaching me how to eat an ice cream cone. I know. Is that the craziest thing? First of all, it's hard to believe that I wouldn't know how to eat an ice cream cone. That definitely begs credulity right there. However, I guess my aunt reminded me many times I didn't even know how to eat an ice cream cone, and she had to show me how. So thanks for all the calories, Aunt Ethel. But
Is there like a wrong way to eat an ice cream cone? I'm curious about this.
I don't, that's the thing. I don't know what she had to teach me, but she claims she's the one who taught me. So I guess, you know what? She's right. She taught me how to properly eat an ice cream cone. I guess there's different ways of licking around the sides or going for the top. I mean, there are people who could probably do studies about this and personality traits. I have no idea, but that is my earliest recollection.
That would be interesting to Google, right?
I guess,
How to eat ice cream.
I
Okay.
really believe, yes, you're right.
So you love sweets and you love savory. So which one wins?
Always chocolate. He's the king of food. Chocolate is the king of food. I mean, we are a country that, okay, the Belgians, I have to give it to them. They're good with chocolate. I would never take anything away from the Belgians. However, we did invent a whole theme park around it with Hershey Kisses lamp posts. That, that's something of which we can be very proud. There is no question. And I am. I bring it up all the time. You may have chocolate, but we have, Hershey land. So, you got to give
Yes.
us credit.
So if you're ever in, it's Pennsylvania, it's Hershey, Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
right?
Hershey, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
So
I
if
mean,
you're
can you
ever,
imagine? I mean, it's, I, no, definitely it's chocolate for me. I will admit that that's my Achilles heel.
so what is your favorite chocolate recipe?
Oh gosh. Open up a candy bar, throw it in your mouth and eat it. That's probably my favorite recipe for chocolate. If it has
And
almonds, that's even better.
that's really, really simple. I love it. Okay then. Well, see, now the cooking part, see, cooking is easy if all it
Yes.
requires unwrapping
Cooking is
and
cooking is easy. And I'll tell you the kind of cook I have become, and as I get older more so. I take my favorite recipes now, and some that were maybe a little more sophisticated, a little had more ingredients. And what I've done, I've learned how to pare down my recipes. So I look for shortcuts. And I have found that many times you can use shortcuts in your best recipes, make them in half the time, and they taste just as good. So you can be very creative with using shortcuts today. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. It isn't like Julia Child, whose, I believe, her recipe for beef bourguignon was like, what, 3 pages or something? I mean, nobody has time for that today. So but you can pare down recipes today and still make them just as good to have.
now I seem to recall you love pasta almost as much as you
I
like
do
chocolate.
love, yeah, I do love pasta. That's the Italian in me. Yeah, that's, my grandfather was an Italian Jew, and yeah, that must be my Italian because I do love pasta. I don't think I've ever met a pasta I did not like. I will say that.
But chocolate and pasta, you wouldn't eat them together, would you? Or would you?
Oh
You
yes, oh yes,
okay.
oh on contraire, oh contraire. You can make, there's chocolate pizza, there's chocolate pasta. There's people, you can make a pasta savory or sweet.
I
Absolutely.
Oh, tell me more about this sweet pasta.
Well, it's the same thing you're doing. You're adding a sauce. Whenever you make pasta, you add a sauce, you know, and but you're going to make, instead of a savory sauce, you're going to make a sweet sauce. So you could make like a chocolate sauce for it, and you could toss the pasta in the chocolate sauce, and then you would have like a chocolate pasta. You could even add almonds to it, and that way you could get the different, crunch with the almonds, the chocolate sauce for the sweet, and then you have your pasta, which gives you the pasta taste. So actually, it works together, believe it or not. I mean, have you ever had chocolate pizza?
I haven't. I've
Oh
had
my.
fruit pizza. I've
Okay,
had fruit
well,
pizza.
that's sweet. There you go. That's sweet. So what, one step further, take it to chocolate and you've got chocolate pizza. I mean, chocolate pizza is delicious. So yeah, I mean, I chocolate goes with everything. For goodness sake, I put it in chili. I put cocoa in my chili. And they do many places. It's,
Now,
it's not unusual.
now I have put cocoa powder in chili, so
There you
I
go.
feel
So
like
you
I.
see, it
But
can
it's
work everywhere. Chocolate goes everywhere. It's the basic black of food. Chocolate is the basic. You want to get dressed to go to a party, it's just like putting on a little black dress. Just pasta will go with everything. I mean,
just.
yeah, see, I slipped. Pasta. Yeah, pasta too. Pasta and chocolate. There you go. It's always easy there.
I like that. So chocolate goes with everything, pasta goes with everything. So obviously they go with everything together. So let's talk just a little bit about what is it that we love so much about the connection between food and community? Why is it you can always have a conversation about food? What is it about food that connects us?
Because the funny thing is that everybody has, so many cultures have the same food, but they just call them different things. Like if you take a kreplach, in Jewish people call it kreplach, okay? But basically it's just pasta filled with meat or chicken or whatever you want, okay? Potatoes, whatever. But the Italian people call it ravioli. Okay. I mean, and the Chinese call it dumplings or pot stickers. So it's like every culture has their own name for the same foods. I mean, and that's why it's so easy for people to come together over food, because and even if a food is unique to a certain culture, most people who like food are always willing to try something different and unique, and that's relative to another culture. So I think food it just brings people together. When people are eating, they're happy, they're talking, they're chewing, they're tasting good stuff. That puts you in a good mood. And it's always good to be in a good mood when you're around people and talking to people. I think probably a lot more people in this country should be eating a lot more. Probably, let's all sit down with a piece of cheesecake and see if we can make things work a little. And I think that that's probably a good philosophy, one not used enough anymore.
A cheesecake for peace. I feel like it can be a thing.
That was one, actually, that was,
Is it a thing?
well, that was actually one of my blogs. Yeah. A, a piece of cheesecake. Yeah, for peace. Yeah, absolutely. That was one of my blogs that I wrote about how the Israelis and the Arabs should sit down and they should have some cheesecake and talk about things. And it would probably increase the chances of a peace agreement coming down the pipe.
And think about it too. If you have a neighbor you're having issues with, just bring over some cheesecake or a pie or some pasta and hawk it over, because I love your philosophy. If you're eating, you're happy. And if you're happy, you can resolve things, and it can work in a variety of areas.
Absolutely. When you're happy, you're open to new things. You're open to even a conversation. You're open to having a conversation. There's something about food that just opens up the soul and lets in the fresh air. And I think that that's something that people know, but they don't really give it a name. They just know they feel that way when they're eating. It's like a Shabbat dinner. If you go to a Shabbat dinner, everybody is so happy. There's like what, 40 or 50 courses at a Shabbat dinner, and everybody's stuffed, and everybody spends the whole night complaining about how they can't eat another bite, but they keep managing to put the food in their mouth anyway. And it's like, oh my gosh, everybody's happy. Everybody's discussing. I mean, to get that many Jewish people at a table and not be arguing, that's an incredible feat. I say I give food credit for that one.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So before we wrap, what is the one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you started cooking or baking?
That it doesn't have to be hard, that it can be much easier than I thought. I thought, you know, my mother always cooked. She cooked every night. My mother was one of those women who would, she'd have like a 10-course meal on the table every single night. And that was the way of life. Of course, back in my time, that was what people did. Food brought us together in the evening as a family. And on Sunday mornings, you had brunch as a family, and everybody ate. And I think what I would have done, I would have probably started cooking even earlier than I did, and in creating new recipes. I would have created more stuff on my own if I knew then what I know now. That would have helped a lot.
Well, this has been so much fun diving into food with you. Where can people learn more about you, read your blog, etc.? So tell
Well, my
people where they
blog,
can find you.
my blog is super easy. It's just at normazager.com, and they're all there with recipes and some funny thoughts about baby boomers, our life and the world today and everything, and being a grandma. So that's there. And also, NBC will be rerunning the Baking It's this summer. They will be rerunning the shows. So I will be on the shows as a judge on Baking It with Amy Poehler and Maya Rudolph and the girls. And it's a lot of fun to watch. It's a fun show. And that's it. And, that's where they can find me always.
It sounds like the show. I mean, what's more fun than eating is eating other people's food and talking about it. So it really goes back to the same thing. It's eating, it's talking, it's coming together.
It's fabulous, and you get to try different recipes from different people. And it's like the worst thing about being a granny judge on Baking It is we don't like to hurt people's feelings. So we really, really are really careful that we don't hurt anybody's feelings or say anything really bad about what they cook, because we would just kill us, and saying goodbye to some of them, week after week, that makes us sad. But we have a ball. It's fun. And it's people love to eat. They love to come together around food. And like I said, we need more of that. We definitely need more of it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Norma Zager, for joining me today. And thank you for tuning into Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast channel. And you can go to jewishjournal.com to get recipes and read the articles that go with each episodes and learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com.
Thank you, Deb, for having me on today. I thoroughly enjoyed being with you.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed our conversation as well. And for those tuning in, until next time, enjoy your food.